Today I have my hands on the new Motorola Razr Ultra from 2025. And let me tell you, they went all out on this one. Let's dive in. First things first is the hardware. And when you pick up the Ultra from 2025, you instantly feel the weightiness, which kind of leads to that premium feel. But then you also get the flatter sides and even the suede backplate, depending on which color you get. And let me tell you, that screams ultra premium. And even when I pass my fingers through all of the ports that are on the rail, everything is just ultra smooth. There are no sharp edges, nothing snags. It's just done basically perfectly. And that's something that not even the top dogs like Samsung and Google get right 100% of the time. And even when it comes to the buttons, there's very little to no play on the buttons, and they're very clicky, but they're not very loud. So it doesn't feel like a cheap plastic that's being pushed in. It's actually very like that Goldilocks zone of where they put this. But seriously, let's get back to the suede backplate, because that gives it this ultra premium feel that you just don't get even with the leatherette or the vegan leather that they use on the other phones. Actually, comparing them side by side, the suede compared to the leather is a night and day difference, and this just feels like a whole other experience. It's amazing, honestly. And so on previous models, I didn't want to go back to the glass backplate, and now I don't even want to go back to the vegan leather. I want the suede backplate all the time. It's just that nice. And it wasn't just that they used better materials or anything like that. They actually worked on the feel of the phone as well. And that goes to show on the hinge. So when you're opening and closing the hinge, is like the smoothest one I've felt so far. It's got a great snappiness to it. When you're closing it, it locks in, and then when you're opening it, it snaps up, and it just feels perfect. It's definitely not the stiffest one, so it might not be the best at holding it at every single angle that's out there, but it goes pretty far without snapping, and far enough where that's all you really need. So you mix that with the ultra smooth opening and closing, it's just an amazing experience. There's also the pleasant surprise that MagSafe accessories actually work pretty well with it. So a lot of phones have some slight magnetism on the back, and this one is actually pretty solid with that. But on top of that, it has the suede, which grants some extra friction, and when you pair that with the magnetic pull that it has, it's actually good enough to use MagSafe accessories. For example, I put it on my MagSafe charger all the time, and there's no slippage, no sliding, and even though it's not as strong as a MagSafe ready phone, it's to the point where I'm not worried that it's gonna fail. Of course, that experience can change drastically depending on the quality of the MagSafe accessory you have, but from the ones that I've had, zero issues with using them. Now, I did mention that the weight felt very premium, and that's because it's actually a bit heavier than last year's Plus model. So it's not a huge difference, but you do feel it, and that's probably gonna be a mix of larger battery and larger screen that's adding the extra weight. And that takes me to my next point, which is that it has an amazing battery capacity at 4,700 milliamp hours. That's actually in the range of mid-sized phones like 6.4 to 6.6, where they sometimes range between 45 and 5,000 milliamp hours. So 4,700 milliamp hours, basically what that means is that you're not gonna be giving up on any battery life for a folding phone anymore, or a flipping phone. And that's been one of the biggest weaknesses for flip phones for a while now. And even though they've been improving on that slowly, 4,700 milliamp hours is awesome, and actually the biggest one that I've used. And there's no doubt that they wanted to put that larger battery in there because they actually went with the Snapdragon 8 Elite processor, which is different from their usual phones or like their Plus models from last year, because they used a very good chipset, but it just wasn't the top of the line one. So now they went top of the line Snapdragon 8 Elite. And that just brings this phone up to premium levels without missing anything whatsoever. And all those upgrades actually made its way to the camera, where they actually gave it a larger sensor, which keeps up with the S25, Z Flip 6, and Z Fold 6. So it has a 1/1.56 sensor, which is the same roughly as the S25. And the processing on it is actually very good, to the point where you really don't feel like you're missing out on anything anymore with the Ultra. I would say that the biggest hurdle on the Ultra is going to be the price point. And if you compare it to the Z Flip 6 and actually match the storage, the price is only $100 off. These phones are already expensive as it is, and $1,300 for a 512 gigabyte model is pretty high. This has always been a bit of an issue with Motorola. I'm guessing it has to do with supply chain issues and just bulk ordering. Maybe they just don't order as much as Samsung, so they can't get the same price. So they actually cost a bit more than the equivalent Samsung. However, you're also getting 16 gigabytes of RAM compared to Samsung's 12 gigabytes. And the 512 storage is actually pretty nice for this phone. But if there's anywhere that the Ultra needs to work on, is probably going to be the price. But that's about it. Now let's move on to the software, where Motorola is actually doing pretty good there as well. The main screen is going to have the stock Android, basically stock Android, with some of Motorola's enhancements on it, and they do a good job with that. They keep it very minimal and give you a lot of cool tools to customize it as well. The most important thing is that everything tends to run smooth and it's just a good experience overall. But if you transition over to the cover screen software, that's where Motorola is on top and has been for a while and will continue to be for some time from what I'm seeing. The cover display software gives you the most versatility. It lets you put all the apps you want on there and basically lets you use it however you want to use it, either as a minimalist use or just to use everything while the phone is closed. It's up to you, honestly. And on top of the versatility, they also have very nice visuals. It's smooth. It's the smoothest screen that I've used on the cover display anyway. And everything just, again, works really well. Even though apps that probably aren't optimized for it to work well enough where you can use it at least. And when it comes to the software, Motorola is actually doing a really good job of catching up, really is a word, on the AI features. Now this could be either a really good thing for you or you just don't care. I've noticed that there's kind of extremes on these, not too many people in the middle. But I will give it to them that the AI software is actually pretty useful for it. Now there are some things that I'm finding a little bit annoying with the AI software in Motorola's phones, and one of them being that they want you to log into the Motorola account. For those that already have a Motorola account, not a big deal, just log in, all good. But if not, you have to create an account. So that's kind of annoying. But Samsung also has the same thing, so it's kind of like a given with AI nowadays. The other thing that I found a bit annoying and something that I actually still feel uncomfortable with is the permissions. And Motorola's asked for a lot of permissions. The most notable ones that kind of bother me were the contacts and messages, which I get it. The AI searches those things to help you out a bit more, but it just still feel a little bit uncomfortable in sharing all that data, even though they say it's private. I don't really trust all that stuff. So there's that, but it's actually very useful software. One of the more useful applications that I've noticed is that the AI is baked into the search bar when you're in the app drawer. And what that's gonna do is that when you search something in there, it's probably gonna give you all the options you probably can have on the phone, not just looking for the app name itself. So it's gonna be very useful and probably the one you'll use the most. Another thing that I found a little annoying is the pop-up bubble for the AI. And I don't even see a reason for it because there's already a dedicated AI button that uses the same AI tool. So honestly, I see myself turning it off pretty soon, or at least hiding the bubble and then just using the dedicated button. It does the same thing anyway. And actually, let's transition to the button that they added for the AI. It's good because you could put two functions, but I feel like they should let you use the second function on anything you want, any basic task you want, like maybe a flashlight or open up an app or whatever you want. When I went to customize the button, from what I was able to see, it was only 2 or 3 AI options that were there, but nothing else. So it's a double tap option and a hold option. And all the options were for AI related features, which I understand it's an AI button, but it could have been a better utility if you were able to do other things besides AI related apps on it. And now to one of the bigger weak points of the Ultra is gonna be the software support. And that's not really limited to just the Ultra, it's just that the Ultra is very expensive and why I kind of bring it up a bit more. From my research, Motorola offers 3 years of software updates and 4 years of security patches. And that's fine, I guess, but I feel like this should at least be at 5 years right now. 7 years might be a bit overkill, especially for a flipping phone where I'm still not sure if it'll last 7 years. I mean, there's only been 6 generations of flip phones to begin with, so we didn't even know if it'll last that long. But at least 5 years. I think 5 years is a good zone for them to be in right now, and they should really work on getting to that point. This might be another one where it's because Motorola doesn't have as much resources, so they can't afford to give you the 5 years, and they're already more expensive as it is. And so if they add support for more years, they're gonna have to charge a bit more for the phone as well. So it's probably something to do with that, but they could really work on doing that, and I think it will make these phones a bit easier to sell, just a little bit. So after spending some serious time with this phone, I think that this is actually the best flip phone or clamshell foldable that you can get right now. Unless Samsung pulls some magic out of the hat, I don't know that they're gonna make a better phone than the Ultra, but it might be a little bit cheaper. So it's up to you to decide. I can genuinely find myself using Motorola over Samsung this year and not even have any sort of FOMO on the Samsung end. This thing has everything covered. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Type Motorola or Samsung to pick your favorite clamshell foldable. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.